Live from WQAD, this is News 8's Good Morning Quad Cities.
Firearm restrictions, the off-limit locations already in place before concealed carry goes into effect in Illinois.
And the big wind, has it died down at all? This is a live look from our Eagle Eye in downtown Davenport as we get ready to start a Wednesday morning.
Thank you for joining us for our first look at the news. I'm Julie Sis.
I'm Jim Mertens. This is Good Morning Quad Cities at 4:30.
And I'm Chief Meteorologist James Zahara. Good day, everyone.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, a hump day morning out there. And yeah, Jim's right. There was some crazy wind that we had around here yesterday. Not as bad overnight, but has drawn in another batch of some pretty cold air across the region. Fair skies across the board. 13 degrees we have outside. The winds are out of the west-northwest at 12. But I tell you, yesterday we had winds gusting close to 50 miles an hour. So yes, the winds are brisk now. They're going to be that way as we go throughout the day. Wind chill right now around -1. It's going to be a fair day, but a cold Wednesday, no doubt about that. And for many of our hometowns, we're going to keep those temperatures below freezing. Just 4 today, but looks like as we go through the rest of the work week, the coldest of the air still expected to be rolling in by Friday. And in that transition, we are going to expect to see little bouts of some light snow and flurries. We'll tell you when the next round will be arriving, coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, James.
A plan to extend unemployment benefits has failed in the U.S. Senate. Lawmakers failed yesterday to advance 2 proposals to extend financial help for the 1.5 million long-term unemployed Americans. Their federal benefits expired at the end of last year. Republicans in the Senate want more cuts in the budget to find money for the jobless. No further action is expected until later this month or early next month.
Congress is set to vote on a massive spending bill, which includes funds to open Thompson Prison. The $1.1 trillion bill funds the federal government through October. Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois announced this week that money in the bill is to renovate the prison that the federal government bought from Illinois in 2012. Senator Durbin says he is hopeful the prison will be up and running soon.
In a matter of months, at most a year or so, we're going to see this new construction leading to the hiring of hundreds of people in the area who've been looking for good paying jobs. So there is a future for the Thompson Prison.
Senator Durbin also touched on the importance of keeping the Rock Island Arsenal running.
These arsenals are critically important. The men and women who work there are some of the best technicians in America. So I worked with Congresswoman Bustos, and we've included provisions supported on a bipartisan basis that will give the Rock Island Arsenal a fighting chance to have more work coming through their doors.
The House and Senate are set to vote on the budget later today.
Iowa Governor Terry Branstad is expected to announce his re-election campaign today. And during his State of the State address yesterday, the governor says Iowa is ready to move forward. During his Condition of the State address, he praised Iowa's 4.4% unemployment rate and a budget surplus approaching that is $900 million. The governor says he now wants to focus on creating jobs for veterans. He also says he's got a goal to make the state more technically connected, a necessity, he says, in the 21st century.
Through technology, we can connect our dreams to reality. Technology will improve educational instruction and make new resources available for our students. It can connect businesses to new customers and new markets. It can connect you with the job of your dreams.
The governor also announced the Bully Free Act of 2014. In the next hour of Good Morning Quad Cities, we'll explain what that means for parents of bullied children and the event going on today to help kids deal with bullies.
A judge has ruled that the village of Milan and the Big Island River Conservancy will have a say in plans to try to build a road and a retail space across from Jumer's Casino. The city of Rock Island proposed the plans for a new road and some levee changes on Big Island months ago. But Milan and Big Island neighbors say the work will impact the levee that protects the area from flooding. A judge ruled yesterday that both Milan and the Big Island Conservancy cannot be left out on any changes that would impact them.
If Big Island were flooded, we would be too. So we certainly have a right to protect our properties.
4 Big Island residents, Black Hawk Township and the Road District will also be allowed to be involved in the case going forward. The next court hearing is scheduled for April.
Months before registered gun owners will be able to carry concealed weapons in Illinois, restrictions are already being put in place for where they will be allowed. Business owners can decide whether or not they want firearms on their property. The same rights go for those in Iowa. The law also bans weapons inside schools, parks, and government buildings. One big difference between the states: in Iowa, guns are allowed inside bars as long as the person carrying isn't intoxicated. But in Illinois, the law is stricter.
You're banned from carrying as if you carry in an establishment that 50%, I believe, of the gross sales or more involves alcohol.
Business owners must have the proper signage if they don't want to allow weapons. Anyone caught not obeying that could face misdemeanor offenses.
Residents in Henderson, Illinois have gone a week now without water, and it looks like those problems will continue. The company that was called to fix a pipe wasn't able to fix it yesterday, so now another company needs to try to solve the problem. Residents have been dealing with discolored water, forcing some not to be able to wash dishes or their clothes. Henderson is under a boil order. The American Red Cross has donated bottled water for the community to use. The autopsy report on a longtime Quad City teacher who froze to death along Interstate 88 in November shows that he ran out of gas before dying from hypothermia. News 8 obtained that report yesterday. Earlier this week, the coroner told us that 65-year-old Lee Catlin died from hypothermia. Police found his body 12 hours after two separate motorists called police about a man lying near an overpass waving his arms in distress. Police are not releasing any additional details about the case or their response to those calls.
Bettendorf police are asking for the public's help in locating a woman who they say is responsible for the death of her 13-month-old baby, I should say. The baby's father, Spencer Smith, was arrested, charged with felony child endangerment causing death. An arrest warrant is now out for the child's mother, Precious Bailey. Police say the baby, 13-month-old Marley, died back in September after ingesting methadone. Right now, the father's being held in jail on $1 million bond.
Incoming students at all three University of Illinois campuses could end up paying more for tuition, fees, and room and board. The Board of Trustees is considering a plan that includes a 1.7% tuition increase for in-state students. That increased rate would not affect existing students. A vote is expected later this month. And in Iowa, Governor Terry Branstad approved a 4% increase in funding for state universities, which would allow the board to freeze tuition for undergrads next fall. The Iowa legislature would still have to approve those funds in Branstad's budget. Last year was the first time in more than 30 years that tuition was not raised at Iowa, Iowa State, and UNI. Still ahead on Good Morning Quad Cities, tweaking Twitter, the new changes coming to the social media sites.
Plus, keeping the mind sharp, the simple steps doctors say you could take now that could help delay dementia later in life.
And a fairly decent batch of frigid air has arrived across all of our hometowns. We'll tell you exactly what those temperatures look like now and on why temperatures will do very little in recovering today, even with some sunshine. All that and more after the break here on Good Morning Quad Cities.
You're watching Good Morning Quad Cities with Jim Mertens and Julie Sisk.